Good morning. Well, yesterday we did the Gentry. Today we're going to finish the Carbera. Well, I wonder how many people spotted the mistake I made at the very beginning of yesterday's episode number 6. That's right, I called it the conclusion. Well, when I started out yesterday morning, I really thought I was going to be done last night. Well, as it turned out, I ran out of time. Well, today will be the conclusion. I hope. Now you'll notice that I was checking here to make sure that I got the right ends matched up. For instance, this end of the blank is larger than this end. The small end matches up with the nib, and the large end matches up with the final. So it's very important not to press them together wrong, because like I said before, if you do, it's really hard to get them apart. Not impossible, but it's really hard. Now what I'm planning on doing here is I'm going to stick on my macro lens 2 or 3 times. Try and get some nice close-ups of when I'm pressing the stuff together. I like to view it, and I'm sure some of the other viewers like to view it too. Now if you're new into this, you might be thinking to yourself, well, I just pressed a pen together. I know how to do it now. I don't need to read the instructions on the next one. Trust me, read the instructions, especially the part about pressing it together. Sometimes there's something a little bit different, and you'll see there kind of is in this kit. Now, not only did I make sure that I knew which was the small and the big end of my blank, but I also placed everything else in the right order that it's supposed to go, and the right way turned around. And that way there's less chance of a mistake. Now this is the nib holder, or nib coupler. And what they want you to do is press this into the small end of the blank. Now, of course, I can't do it with my fingers, but I can do it with this. Okay, now after I'm sure I've got everything nice and straight, I just press it together. And here we go. Now the next thing they want me to do is to take the clip ring and put it onto this piece here, like this, and then press this together like this. And I have a brilliant idea here. Remember the character flaw? I'll bet you, if I do it right, the end of the clip here is going to hide the character flaw. Now I know that'll devalue the pen. Just kidding, of course. But I'm going to try and do that. See what happens. There's the character flaw right there. I'll put it right at the top. And then if I am very careful, maybe this is going to work. Yeah, I think it will. And once again, I want to make sure I got everything perfectly centered here. There's a little hole in this piece here, and I want to make sure that I've got that hole completely covered. Okay, whoops. Okay, so that's going to go like that. Well, I'll get it eventually. Well, maybe what I'll do is I'll run this in, and then when it's almost tight, then I'll adjust this back and forth in the right place. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, here we go. Okay. Now I can still move this. Now the rest of the way. Okay, that's pretty tight. Now the next step is I have to press the transmission into the clip end, and the distance from the nib coupler, which is this piece right here, to the end of the transmission will be 3.79 inches. So that means I've got to adjust this thing. Okay, there's 3.7, 3.72, 4, no, 2, 4. Okay, I think that'll be right there. Be just a smidgen under 3.8. That should be 3.79. Okay, just double check, make sure everything's still set to 3.79 inches. And it looks like it is. Well, this should be fairly simple. This is what I'm going to do. Now I think that if I squeeze it together until this comes up to here, it should be right. Makes sense to me anyway. And here we go. Little more, little more, little more, little more. Getting pretty tight. There we go. I think that's it. Well, let's see if it'll work now. Now, before we try, we have to get this little plastic cap off the end here. And that shouldn't be too hard. Just pull it off. There we go. Yeah, that got it. Well, we're just about done here. Okay, now the final goes on the end here, and I think it's just a pressure fit. There we go. And let's see if it works. Ha-ha! That's all right. Now, those of you who live in the greater Winnipeg area, you know where Carman is. And I know there's been a few of you have been watching this series. So, you want to help these people out? Get yourself involved on Saturday. It's only 4 days from right now. Now, as I mentioned in episode number 1, I have no idea how the Cornerstone people are planning to use these sets, but I do know that they will. So there's a good chance you might win or in some way end up with one of these sets. But you gotta get down to Carman. Anyway, that kind of wraps it up here, finally. And thank you for watching.